Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Otta. Thank you so much for clicking on the video, and today I will be discussing my top 5 all-time basketball players, NBA players rather. So I was trying to decide which type of video I should make, and I thought today I would discuss basketball and my top 5 players because I've watched basketball for a long time, and I think that my list is pretty good from what I've seen from other people, so I wanted to share it with everybody. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so number 5 on my list of all-time NBA players is Shaquille O'Neal. So Shaq, he was just an absolute monster. 4-time champion, 1-time MVP, should have been at least 2-time MVP, but 3-time finals MVP, one of the most dominant players ever. I think like 8th in blocks and top 10 in rebounds, top 10 in scoring as well. I mean, just an incredible career. Very didn't have the longevity of he should have, because he didn't really take care of himself. So I think he could have definitely been a top 3 player, but his lack of longevity and not taking care of himself kind of dwindled his career, especially towards the end after he got traded from the Lakers, in my opinion. Alright, now that I've talked about Shaq being number 5, let's get into number 4, which is Magic Johnson. So Magic Johnson is a 5-time champion, multiple-time MVP, multiple-time All-Star, 10-plus time All-Star, one of the greatest passers of all time, in my opinion, the greatest passer and the greatest point guard of all time. He really revolutionized the game when he came in. Before he and Larry Bird came in, it was more of a selfish league, in my opinion. It was more trying to get your own rather than get others involved, and I think Magic along with Bird really changed that. Also, like I said, those two, especially in my opinion, Magic was the better player, but their rivalry, Magic and Bird's rivalry, really saved the NBA in the 80s and helped them gain the exposure and popularity that they have now. So I think that was like the building block of their popularity, of the NBA's popularity today, thanks to them. Okay, so number 3 on my list, and some people even have him number 1, is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So he is the all-time leading scorer, 6-time champion, 6-time MVP, multiple-time finals MVP winner. Just was great from high school till his last game in the NBA. It was ridiculous how much longevity he had because he played into his 40s. He was great from the jump when he got to the NBA and was on the Bucks. I think he won the championship and the MVP his second or first year in the league, and then his dominance continued when he was on the Lakers, obviously winning 5 more with Magic on the team. So I think he's number 3 for sure on the list. Like I said, some people have him number 1. I have him number 3 because these next 2 guys I think just are a level ahead of everyone else on the list. Alright, so I might get some hate for this and some controversy for sure, but number 2 on my list of all-time NBA players is Michael Jordan. So a lot of people have him number 1, but in recent years he's been 1, 2, like I said, Kareem was even number 1 on some people's list, which is totally acceptable. In my opinion, number 2 all-time great goes to Michael Jordan. 3rd in all-time scoring, 6-time champion, 6-time finals MVP. He had a pretty long career as well in terms of longevity, but I do deduct points for the fact that he did take a 2-year hiatus from the NBA, came back, and then also a lot of people forget like his last 3 years on the Wizards. I think when the last 3 years of your career kind of, give you 0 production, that should count negatively, especially since I don't think any of those 3 years that had a winning record. I know the team sucked, but, it kind of showed that even though he was old, he didn't have much of an impact on those Wizards teams while he was on there. So I think that should deduct points from him, which a lot of people don't really seem to discuss. So I know that Going 6-0 in the finals obviously is incredible, and that should not be overlooked. However, I do think that the teams that he played compared to the teams that he had on his side in those 6 finals, they were very, stacked. The Bulls teams were always stacked, much more than the teams that they were playing against. And so I think that really gave him an advantage. In addition, something that people don't talk about nearly as much, in my opinion, is the fact that he lost so many playoff rounds to the Pistons before he finally got over the hump. So that's why I have him at number 2. And I think we all know who I have as number 1 on my all-time greatest players list. It is obviously LeBron James. I do think that LeBron James is the most complete in, best ability-wise basketball player in NBA history, in basketball history rather. He's the complete package: size, IQ, passing ability, speed, quickness, agility, athleticism. He has it all, in my opinion. So that, aside from that though, other than just the fact that I think he's the most gifted and literally the perfect basketball player, he has accolades as well. First of all, when he does retire in a couple of years, he will be number 1 on the all-time scoring list, and he'll be the only player that is top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, I believe. And so I think that says a lot about how much of an entire package he is. Averaged 27, 7, and 7 so far throughout his career. And at age 37 last year, he averaged, I think, 28 points and 7 and 7, something like that, with assists and rebounds, similar to his all-time average. In addition, I think he's done a lot without a lot of great teammates. So, for example, in 2007, he took that sorry Cavs team, which had, I think, one other All-Star, and that was Mo Williams, who had never been an All-Star before or after that point. And he took them to the NBA Finals. After that, the only year that I think he underperformed was in 2011 in the finals against the Dallas Mavericks. I do think that in that series he did actually choke and not play well, but before and since then he hasn't underperformed, in my opinion. He's always gone up against teams in the finals that were much better than the teams that he had. In 2018, he played all 72 games in the regular season, and that was the season that Kyrie Irving left, and he had literally almost nothing on the Cavs, and he gave it his all, got that team to the finals against the one of the greatest teams of all time, which was the Warriors with the addition of Kevin Durant. And if it wasn't for J.R. Smith making a boneheaded move in the finals in Game 1, the Cavs would have won that game, and LeBron had, I think, 52 or 56 points that game. So they were that close to getting a 1-0 lead, and anything can happen after that. Alright, so in addition, another reason why I think LeBron is the best player of all time is because he's won on every team that he's gone to. So he's played on 3 different teams. He's played on the Cavs, went to the Heat, went back to the Cavs, and now is playing on the Lakers. He's won at every single team he's went to. On the Cavs, the first time he didn't win a championship, won multiple MVPs there, got them to the finals with basically nothing, came to the Heat, won 2 championships in 4 years, went back to Cleveland, was in the finals every single season he was there, and beat the greatest regular season team of all time, which was the Warriors in 2016. That team went 73-9, which topped the 72-10 record that the Bulls held since 1996. That team were up 3-1. LeBron James led the Cavs back, obviously with the help of Kyrie and his other teammates, but I think that's expected. He was the finals MVP. LeBron was in that series and in every finals that he's won. And so he was clearly the best player on the court, did everything he could, and he won his team that series as well. In addition, on the Lakers, while his first season was not a success, similarly because he didn't have a lot of help and he got injured. Because a lot of people forget that during Christmas game that year on his first season on the Lakers, before his injury, they were like third in the West. So I think that they could have done some stuff in the playoffs for sure if he wasn't injured, but I think that injury just threw him off. Anyways, in addition to that, his second season, even with the coronavirus pandemic and all of that, even though they were without fans, which I think is harder to perform under without fans because they have no home court advantage, no nothing. They beat the Miami Heat and obviously everyone else before that in the playoffs in the bubble to win his fourth championship and his fourth Finals MVP, which I think is actually one of the most difficult titles in NBA history, whereas people think that it's an easier title because it was without fans. I think the exact opposite. But anyways, that is my top 5 list of all-time NBA players. Comment down below if you think it's a good list, bad list. Give me your list if you have one, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.